Hello, my name is Deb C., and I'm a spiritual therapist. I spread knowledge, love, and ascension. Today I'm going to talk about transcendence, duality, and our higher selves. Transcendence is the act of rising above something to a superior state. When we achieve transcendence, we have gone beyond ordinary limitations. It is a spiritual or religious state, or a condition of moving beyond physical needs and reality. If we have a problem of letting go of material things, then we have difficulty achieving transcendence. Ordinary knowledge is knowledge of objects. Transcendental knowledge is knowledge of how it is possible for us to experience those objects. As objects, if we transcend our own personal concerns, we see from a higher perspective. Then we enter a well-developed sense of awareness and positive emotions of joy and peace. The search for the highest truth, universal truth, it begins by sealing the mind from outside influences of ordinary negative knowledge, as we achieve true objectivity by separating from ego prejudice and illusion. The true reality is perceived in transcendent unitive knowledge. The opening to a higher level of awareness opens inward. We are always looking outside ourselves for the answer. There is the Shekhinah light, the divine light, that lives in everything and everyone. This inner knowledge of light helps us, makes us infinite spirit, and helps us live in this temporary form. Our consciousness, a fixed position in the center of the universe. The universe is our subconscious superposition. We are pushed out, hyperbolically inverted, and reflected back to ourselves. This is why we need to be the change we want to see. Duality teaches us that every aspect of life is created from a balanced interaction of opposite and competing forces. Yet these forces are not just opposites, they are complementary. They do not cancel out each other, they balance each other. Duality is an essential concept that must be grasped if one is wanting to have a deeper understanding of life. Without recognizing duality, we miss out on a huge learning tool. We can't fully understand one side of the dual nature of something without comparing and fully understanding the opposite side. If we don't have an opposing counterpart, then it can't have any value to us, like life and death is to us. Our entire existence in the third dimension is run on duality. Duality is a paradox, one of life's inherent contradictions. A single moment through finite time often presents us with two equally desirable yet mutually negating choices. Life pulls us in several directions all at once, and before we know it, we are in a paralysis of choice. We make choices based on our feelings we have at the moment. Sometimes we don't choose at all, which is even worse, and that in itself is paradoxically some type of terrible choice. The destabilizing fractures duality creates disrupts our sense of unity. And from these fissures, creative inspiration is born. Duality does its best work by illuminating the darkness, the starkness, into two opposite phenomena, enabling us to see their differences more accurately. The paradox of choice can often become a source of frustration. We can learn to use the force of its momentum to our advantage. We need to embrace the contradictions and need to be formless without any labels. We need to strive to be malleable like a chameleon and find the symmetry of balance when we choose with strategic intent. Duality is in our lives for a reason. It presents us with the liberation of choice, but also the possibility of balance. Duality is essentially the state of separation. It is the opposite of reality and the cause of suffering. In duality, we essentially split or divide life into right and wrong, left and right, pretty and ugly, holy and sinful, love and hate. As a result, our lives become centered around judgment, fear, and condemnation. As we ascend, the concept of duality slips away, since there are no differences once are enlightened. We are lives that live upon the nature and are not affected by this third dimensional law. Impurity was shown in the universal mental consciousness to create the illusion of separation or pride. It started with an ego manifesting into a mental experiment to create egoic projections instead of the unity love consciousness. Ego is a necessary component of the individual process, but creating from egoic separation caused impurity to corrupt the universal mind. The ego is here to be mastered, not projected. The illusions are here to teach us life lessons and non-dual awareness. This is how we resurrect into transcendence. The collective is awakening. There will be no separation of illusions. We are leaving duality, polarity paradigm for good. There is no wrong or right in this game. Everything is an expression of the Creator. There's no white or black. If we view everything from a higher perspective, everything is the divine Shekhinah light. We have reached a point in our spiritual growth where we are ready to evolve beyond duality. We can see past the illusions, that we understand that there is no such thing as evil, darkness, or bad energy. There is only misunderstood light, blocked light, or unloved light. We must try to remain in a state of peace and joy. Our bodies are like little multiverses. When we balance ourselves out eternally, this balance gets projected into the nexus, the Shekhinah light. The more we do the work for inner peace, the more people will awaken. It is a test. If we awaken and ascend, then we go on to the new earth, and we passed our tests. If we decide to do the work, then we're good. If we decide not to do the work, We are sent to a different place to continue to work on ourselves through another karma cleanse. We are always being tested to see what level of evolution we are on. We need to just focus on inner peace. When we do that, the peace flows naturally through the collective consciousness. We are working to change the earth through our controlled thought patterns of changing negative thoughts into positive energy to help with our inner awakening and then the collective. This will raise our vibrational field and raise our planet and all parallel planets as well in other universes. Everything boils down to being in a state of love and helping others. The planet is so dense with personal identity, drenched with selfishness. We are stuck in a web of psychological warfare that goes through the nexus and becomes reality and painful for us. Through the experience of duality, we learn discernment and ascension by using it like a tool for growth. God's Shekhinah light ever flowing, ever moving, that goes on forever. It is vast. We are responsible to know who we are and grow. The rest is the divine's responsibility. This is all a divine experience. The more we understand the truth, the happier we will be. We need to connect with our higher selves. It is part of who we are. That part of us is always connected to the source, the divine. Our higher selves hold no judgment, hold no fear. It is always filled with love, compassion, and wisdom. It is us in our purest form of light. It's guiding us with our intuition. Unlike the ego, the higher self isn't illusory. It is free from suffering. Spiritual meditation helps us connect to our higher selves. As we ascend, our goal is to be on the same level as the higher self. When we do this, our lives start to become blissful and harmonious, because the higher self has no need for suffering. It has become totally pure. The higher self is an eternal, omnipotent consciousness, an intelligent being who is one with its real self. It is the inseparable ray that connects us to the God divine. When we feel like something just isn't right in our gut, when a little voice whispers a message to us, when we ignore signs of enlightenment, we have recurrent dreams or experience recurring synchronicities, we must abandon our victim mentality. It is so toxic for us. We must love ourselves unconditionally. Through that, our higher selves comes forth, and we can really hear them and learn from them. The higher one rises, the farther one is pulled down. Evolution moves deeper and deeper. Each evolutionary cycle makes you go closer to the center, where the supreme high and low meet. Heaven and earth. The more light you possess, the more darkness can be revealed. The power to create realities has always been in our hands. Not everyone can use it though, because in order to use it, one must hold the God frequency or Elohim frequency on a constant level for a preferred length of time. You need it to create whatever it is you're trying to create. all the energy is emitting from the God source, and we turn into the transmitter and the emitter. Transmutation occurs when we receive the lower frequencies, dissolving them, and then creating a higher frequency. And then it's transmuted back into the nexus, the Shrina light. Darkness has risen in light for the new light. We must remove ourselves from the fear mindset and switch it to love. We are all reflections of each other. The universe sends us exactly what we need to go through. We are never punished, just new choices for our growth to return to the God divine source. Remember, we are never, ever alone. Be well and be blessed.